What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Leo coming to you guys with yet another video. So today we're going to be talking about the Intercontinental Champion Gunther and who do I think are potential names to defeat him to become the Intercontinental Champion. Now, at the time of recording this video, he's been holding that championship for over 530 days, if I'm not mistaken. I think they had made that announcement when he competed against Survivor Series against The Miz, and he has definitely done great work with the Intercontinental Championship, the greatest champion that we've had in a long time, or at least one of the best champions we've had in a long time for sure, and has put us on the best matches with that Intercontinental Championship on the line. So I'm going to give you guys some potential names. Who do I think potentially could beat him for the Intercontinental Championship? And leave your names who you guys think should be able to defeat him as well in the comment section down below. We're on the road to 700 subscribers. So the first name we got to talk about is from NXT. He's the current NXT champion, Ilya Dragunov. These guys have fought before. When it came down to the NXT UK title, they've competed in NXT UK, and they competed in an NXT Arena. I think it was NXT Takeover 30 or 31 or something like that. I'm not too sure. Comment down below, let me know. But that match was must see. That match was must watch television for me. That was like one of my favorite matches of that year. That one of my favorite matches from NXT of all time, honestly, when you really think about it, because we've seen so many great matches from NXT, but that one definitely should have shocked the entire wrestling world, in my opinion. One of the best matches from start to finish of all time. And it wasn't even for like a main roster title or either like a NXT championship. It was for like the NXT UK title. So the fact that they put up that to a higher pedestal when they, just because of the people that they were competing for, how hard they fought for it, made it even better. So I think if you were to put that match on like a WrestleMania, that match would easily, and you actually let them go, that match would easily become the biggest match of WrestleMania weekend, just because both of those guys have history and they are no stranger to each other, and the match itself would easily be the biggest match you could possibly put on. What I wouldn't say that, but in the sense of when you really look back at it, it kind of is going to shock. Well, for the people who aren't really familiar with these two guys, they're definitely going to be in for a treatment. For the people who've seen these two fight before, we know what to expect between these two. We know they are hard hitters, and they will not stop until each one of them takes their opponent out. So it's going to be a very interesting competition between these two. So I think the first one we gotta go is Ilya Dragunov. Next name we gotta talk about potentially competing for the Intercontinental Championship is also from NXT, Braun Breaker. They have definitely been saying that this guy is the future of the business. And what better way to prove that he's the future of the business by making his main roster debut and beating Gunther to become the Intercontinental Champion. Imagine him just making his debut and beating Gunther in his first match, and that's instantly gonna get eyes on him, because it's like, well, we don't know who this guy is, but he just beat Gunther, so we're gonna be tuning in just to see who this guy is and what he's about. And I think that would be a great opportunity for a lot of people to get introduced to him, because he beat somebody that's been unbeatable for seems for years now. Since he's debuted on the main roster, he has been undefeated. He hasn't even lost a match. And now he's Intercontinental Champion, so that makes it even more unpredictable. It's like, who's going to be the guy to defeat him first? Who's going to be the guy to take the title from him? Who's going to be the one to have that accolade? And I think when you do that, you're definitely building a future star in the company, just because you had him beat somebody that has been unbeatable. So, and he's kind of in the sense of Roman Reigns with his mystique, but the only difference between him and Roman, the thing is with Gunther, he doesn't need outside interference to beat you. He can beat you on his own. He doesn't need the rest of Imperium to beat you. He can beat you on his own, and that makes it even more better, because he doesn't need the outside, and he's a heel, mind you. He's a heel, but he's not doing the he's heel tactics like cheating or having outside interference. He's not relying on any of those. He's just winning his matches clean. So, the fact that he's actually winning his matches clean, it's only going to make things even better to see who's actually able to take down Gunther in the grand scheme of things. And I think Braun Breaker could be one of those guys that actually could do it if they want to pull the trigger on it. And I wouldn't be upset about it. Comment down below. What do you guys think? Do you guys would love to see Braun Breaker win the next match? Next match. I can speak. Who the next person we got to talk about is somebody that people aren't really talking about. Well, he's kind of been cut and dry. I would say he's kind of been cut and dry. I would say, but he still should be in the conversation, and that is Sheamus. Sheamus right now, I really still feel like is the end goal for Gunther, who I personally think is going to take the title from him when it's all said and done. And the thing is, he's kind of dealing with an injury right now, so it's kind of hard for us to kind of really buy into him potentially being a challenger right now. But when he comes back, and depending on what he's doing, we can kind of get reinvested in him and possibly reinvested in his story of trying to win that Intercontinental Championship, the only title that has eluded him in his career. So we would just have to see how that one goes. But I do think for a lot of fans, I think as far as me being concerned, that Sheamus is still the guy that I feel like should do it. And really is still the guy that should do it, honestly. So, and I think the match that they had at Clash is definitely just set the bar for these two, and it's definitely kind of get a lot of people behind Gunther as champion. So, I think they kind of, accomplished one of the goals that they wanted to. And it's like, I feel like right now, with Gunther, I think he is at a state right now where he's really kind of running out of challengers to compete against him for the title, or at least worthy challengers, because it's like you really don't have anybody else, so you kind of have to get through these people that you kind of have to get through, and then, take the title off him, because I think they're at the point where they should be able to take the title off him at this point and then have him into the Rumble, because I still think he should be the guy to win the Rumble. So if they're going to do that, they should take the title off him, unless they want to have him hold the Intercontinental and still go after the world title and make it a title for title or something. But I think they shouldn't realistically shouldn't do that. So I think they should have him drop the title, unless the only other scenario I can see them doing is pretty much him doing like a double duty type of scenario where he defends his championship on maybe night one and then compete. Well, I would say this: he gets a shot at the world championship and wins, and he holds both titles, and then loses the Intercontinental the next night. I could see that potentially playing out, but outside of that, I really don't know what else you could do unless you want to get that visual with him holding both titles. But I mean, he's there every week, so I really won't have a problem if he would hold two titles, unlike Roman, because he's there and he's there every week, and he puts up some of the best matches WWE has been putting on over the last year or so. So I wouldn't have a problem with him holding both titles. The next person we got to talk about is somebody that recently called him out, and no, I'm not talking about Logan Paul. He's an honorable mention. I'll just leave that. I'll put it there. He is an honorable mention for this video. I would love to see that match. I would love to see him compete for the Intercontinental Championship. We have U.S. Champion versus IC Champ. I think that match would have been great if they were doing Raw versus SmackDown at Survivor Series. I think that could have been a great match to put on. Logan Paul is very athletic. Have him go up against somebody as technically sound as Gunther would have been great to see on television, but we didn't get it. But he is an honorable mention for this video. The next person we got to talk about, he recently called, like I said, he called him out in one of the podcasts I think a week ago. And that will be none other than main event Jey Uso. Now, this guy right here, I honestly feel like the three names I'm about to talk about, I already talked about Sheamus and Jey Uso, I'm talking about now, and then the other name I'm about to talk about in just a minute are the three names that I'm potentially seeing going to be the ones to defeat Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. So, main event Jason called him out. I do think if there's anybody on that roster right now, besides the next guy that I'm about to name in just a minute, I think Jey Uso could be the guy to do it. Jey Uso pinned Roman Reigns, and he pinned Roman Reigns like after 1,000 days of him not getting pinned. So just think about him beating Gunther, right? Who hasn't been pinned in over 500 days or so, and probably plus that. He's been champion for over 530 days. But before that, he hasn't been pinned since he's been on the main roster. So imagine Jey Uso not only pinning Roman Reigns, which is a big moment for him, but able to do it again against a Gunther and to become Intercontinental Champion, and then going into Mania season, because I know they're going to be doing the story between him and Jimmy. You have Jey, who's going in as Intercontinental Champion, versus Jimmy Uso for the Intercontinental Championship. That's going to make the storyline even better, because now it's not just brother versus brother anymore. It's brother versus brother for a championship. And I know a lot of people are probably going to be commenting on this video, be saying, well, it's brother versus brother, so it should sell itself. And that's understandable, but it makes that storyline even more intriguing than it already is going to be. Because now, like I said, it's not just Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso now. Now Jimmy Uso has a purpose for, to try to beat Jey now. Because he turned on him because he so quote unquote claimed he didn't want him to be like Roman. But now he's seeing him with the title, and now it's going to make him feel left out. And it's just like, well, now I got to get a championship now. Now I got to get a championship. I can't face Roman because that's going to cause some dissension there. I can't do that. So, and plus, and he can't go after, Logan Paul because he's a heel, so it wouldn't make sense. So now it makes things even more intriguing, because now he has a reason to want to fight Jey realistically in storyline, because now he has a reason to fight him, and that is because he wants to become champion and wants to become Intercontinental Champion and take the title away from Jey. Because now he can come back and say, well, I don't want you to be like Roman because you're a champion now, and you're going to let that go to your head. So now it's going to be a situation where it can be brother versus brother, maybe at night one for that Intercontinental Championship. And I think it would be a very hard-hitting match and a very story-driven match in the sense as well. So I think when you really think about it, I don't think people would really be upset or should be upset if Jey Uso were to be the one to do it, especially with the crowd reactions that he gets on Monday Night Raw every week and on these live shows. So I don't think it would be a big out of the realm possibility to see him do it and wouldn't get backlash for it, from in my opinion. So he's definitely should be in the conversation for somebody that could end up doing it. The next person we got to talk about is the last person we got to talk about. Well, we got another name to talk about, but this next person, he's on another brand. I forgot about him. I'm just, going through as I go. But the next name we got to talk about, he's on SmackDown, and that is L.A. Knight. Now, he's on SmackDown right now, and if we're really being honest, he's going to go after the U.S. Championship. But I would love to see him face Gunther again. I love seeing him. I think I've seen him face a Stand and Deliver. I think it was Stand and Deliver last year, right before they got called up. But that match was very great. It was very good. I would love to see those two fight again, because now you have this mixture of Stone Cold and Steve Austin. Why did I say do this? Why did I say that? I mean, The Rock and Stone Cold. Sorry. A new school version of The Rock and Stone Cold versus Gunther, who's just pretty much like an old school type of heel. He gives me William Regal vibes, like, if you were to take him seriously. Like, if they were taking William Regal serious back then, this is what it would have been like for me. So, I think you could potentially even have him win because then it would make it a big. It would make it'd be a big deal for him because he beat Gunther and became champion, and the crowd would be into it because now they're gonna be so behind LA Knight to the point that you might even have to call an audible and have him win the championship. And I think that's the thing with WWE over the last years since Triple H took over. That's one thing they haven't really been doing is calling audibles when they realistically should. Like Clash of the Castle, they could have called an audible. Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber, they could have called an audible. Cody Rhodes, they should have called an audible. 3 times they could have. Well, 4 times when if you want to include LNA at Money in the Bank, should have called an audible. Jey Uso at SummerSlam should have called an audible. LA Knight and Roman should have called an audible. A lot of these times, Roman Reigns is put in these positions where they need to call an audible, but they don't do it. But I think he would be a great fit for that Intercontinental Championship. I will say that. But he's just another honorable mention for me. But the main guy we got to talk about is a guy that I think could do it. I know I said Sheamus, but another guy that you can't deny deserves it. He's definitely been kind of cut and dry with the way they've been booking him as of late, but he still has a chance if they want to revisit the feud. And that is none other than Chad Gable. Those 2 matches that they've had with Gunther was phenomenal, in my opinion. Those matches were very good from start to finish. I kind of feel like they didn't finish the story, no pun intended. I really feel like they just didn't finish it or leave it in a conclusion in a sense of he lost in front of his family and they should have revisited that. And right after he broke the record, they should have had him defeat Gunther right after. But apparently they're probably going to hold off on Gunther and Chad Gable having another match until possibly the Royal Rumble. And I'm not upset about that. I think that would be a great moment because you're kicking off the year in a good way. Or they could set something up for the January 1st edition because I know they're going to do a January 1st edition of Monday Night Raw, which is the New Year's edition. So I think that would be another great way to kind of kick off the year in a good way. And you can build Gunther going into the Rumble, potentially having a shot at the World Championship by entering the Royal Rumble and winning it. And then you could have maybe Chad Gable face somebody like a Drew McIntyre at a WrestleMania. I think that match could be good. You could have him face somebody else. We will have to see. But those are the people that I think should potentially defeat Gunther. Leave the people that you guys think should defeat Gunther in the comment section down below. We're on the road to 700. Make sure you Superman punch that post notification bell, super kick that like button, and spear the subscribe button. On the road to 700. Like I said, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next video.